Here we go. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows and welcome to Double Game Week 34, a time when we ride or die. Chai is with me in the chat today. There's no G. He's off stateside. How you doing, mate?
I'm all good, Dean. How are you? Delighted to be here. Big week this week, innit?
Oh, mate, it does feel like seasons are going to die in the next 24 hours or so. I'm excited about that happening to me, of course. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for being patient with us while we got this one going today. I promise we'll make up for it because we're going to get through loads of questions today. You will be seeing my team. You will be seeing Chai's team. But we're going to make sure we give you guys loads of focus so that we can fix all of our teams in time for actually getting this game week in shape for us all. Obviously, we'll be let down in some aspects, but there's got to be more to this than the obvious picks that everybody's going for right now. A lot of people obviously playing their free hit this week, maybe even wild cards, unless you're saving it for the following week, like many people will be. Some will bench boost, some will triple captain. It is going to be interesting because I think, obviously, getting into the final weeks, everyone's been saving up their chips, and it's time to use them, people. We've got to actually get rid of them. Good day to all of the ones in the chat right now. Just going to say a quick few hellos. Mark Nash says his season died in game week 31. Ryan says hello. Bob's in New Zealand. Hello to you. There's loads of you regulars in the chat. Run Carlos Ron, a new name that I don't recognize. Hello to you, mate. ILO Music, a new one as well. Chai, I think you're being in a new audience, mate. Thank you.
A lot of Irish boys. It's good to see. Dean, are you on any chips this week?
I don't think I'm going to be using a chip. I mean, I've obviously used most of my chips. So all I've got left is bench boost.
Okay. So, and do you have any idea when you're going to use it? Probably 37.
It's probably 37. Yeah, at the moment, probably 37. This week, no good for me. I haven't got a good enough bench. So by 37, I can get that in decent shape.
Yeah.
And I'd rather save that one for then. What are you on it, mate? What are you thinking chip-wise?
Free hit 34, bench boost 37. I see a lot of people in chat roasting me about having triple Spurs. But I still had a good week last week, regardless of the bashing we got.
Mate, it's part of the game being a Spurs fan at the moment.
It is. It's like a double loss for me every week, so I think I need to get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, British 87 says the Euro coefficient, Chai and Spurs. Yeah, look, the fifth spot's gone, and that is a blessing in disguise for Tottenham. Like,
I think it works out either way for Tottenham. We could deal with a year Europa League. We're not ready for Champions League.
We're ready for Champions League. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. And we will probably get knocked out in the group stages. So the only thing is, I don't know how summer is going to go for us. I know every year I say this as a Spurs fan. My expectations are always way too high than what they are. But I do think we're only 2 or 3 players away from making that step up to be able to compete. Maybe not for a league, but definitely solidify top 4 every season. So we'll see what we do.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's going to make any difference to Tottenham if they're in Champions League or not in terms of their actual transfer targets. I do think they'll sign a centre forward. Son's are going to move back to his home on the left, and I've liked Sonny through the middle at times, and I think it is a good option, but I don't think it should be his permanent home. I think you want him to have that flexibility to go through. Let's say, oh, look at Gianni working in Miami. There he is. Hello, mate. I was just texting him actually about a piece that I'm writing. So hello to Gianni. I'm actually looking to write an article at the moment for Give Me Sport about team leaks, and the effect they have and what it's like for the people that leak them. So it's going to have to be anonymous because these people obviously don't want anybody knowing what goes on. But yeah, so I was just having a little chat to G about that. That'll be interesting for me to dig into over the next few days. I'll let you all know when the piece comes out on Give Me Sport. Yeah, so let's start. The question straight away from Stephen is what to do about Liverpool assets. It looks like they're spent. It has been a bad time for Liverpool. They have dropped off. I mean, it's weird. They've lost their spark, haven't they? That's what it feels like to me.
Yes, it's unusual. We're going into a week where a lot of the good teams that are doubling are not in form. So we have Arsenal who are off the back of 2 losses now and they're not scoring. We have Liverpool and even City being knocked out as well. So not a great week in Europe for the English teams. I know Gianni is absolutely gassed with Atlanta going through. But I think you still go with the Arsenal Liverpool boys, regardless of their form. I think they'll be all still going for the league. I don't know about you, Dean, but I still think Liverpool have a shot at the league. Less likely than maybe a City or an Arsenal, but I still think they're in contention.
I've said for a while, Fulham will be kingmakers this season, and that begins on Sunday when we beat Liverpool at Craven Cottage.
You've
And
done it before.
I'll be there to witness it. What are you thinking Liverpool asset-wise, mate?
Liverpool asset-wise, I think, on going double attack. We seen last night, Robbo got 80 minutes, Trent got 70, Diaz 70, Nunes 24. For me, I was always on Nunes, regardless of what minutes he was going to get, because I think regardless of which Liverpool asset you go with, they're likely to only get one game anyway, unless it's a McAllister or a Virgil van Dijk or maybe an Alisson. For me, I think Robbo is my pick as the defender. He's back to full fitness now, and Trent, he did play 70 minutes, but just back from injury, I'm unsure if he can get 2 games in that quick turnaround. So
yeah,
I'm on Robbo, Salah, and Darwin, as we'll see. But that could easily change by Saturday.
Okay, interesting. I'll get back to that in 1 second. Nick's sent in a super chat. Thank you so much, mate. £5 for Chai to go and have a pint later on. He says, afternoon. Guys, I would love your opinions here. I've got 2 free transfers this week before Wildcard 35. So what's better? Munoz and Haaland or Zabani plus Mateta? Most say the former, but I prefer the latter. I think I prefer the latter here, you know.
Really? What do you think of the Haaland injury? I don't know if it was an injury, but he got subbed off. So I can only imagine.
Here's the problem.
Yeah, we don't know.
He's got to have a game to play before we even get to the Premier League fixture. So that's the problem here. It's like, if this game against Brighton was on Sunday, I'd say, yeah, no problem. Haaland, pick him, captain him, do whatever you want. But Man City are playing Chelsea on Saturday in an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. They've got to win it. Like, they're going to give everything to do that. So Haaland, I think, will start that game. He's been tired there in midweek. What if this one goes to extra time too?
Yeah.
There's factors here. And the thing with Chelsea, of course, I don't expect Chelsea to win this game. But Chelsea's big performances this season have come at times when the world has been against them and they've galvanized. And on the back of that penalty fight that they had the other day, and everybody's saying, what a bunch of amateurs this team are. What a bunch of jokers. Pochettino's got no control of this team, which might be true, to be fair.
I think that's unfair to say, though. What do you think?
I think it gave us actually really good insight of what he's having to deal with.
Yeah, because I feel like it would have been like that with the likes of Lampard. Anyway, that's why no matter who comes in, they're going to struggle because it's just a group of players. They're more individuals than a team.
This is the problem. And, as Dele Alli said after that game, it's all very well fighting over a penalty when it's going to be 5-0. Where are these guys when it's 0-0, when it's 1-1? I don't know. I think that Chelsea will put in a big performance here. I don't necessarily expect them to win, but they are picking up momentum, as Offcore says in the comments. Chelsea could still finish 6th in the league, could still win the FA Cup. They could still be in Europe next season, right? This is a massive period for Pochettino. He's got some massive fixtures coming up, right? He's got some massive games coming up. They've who have they got? They got, I think, Arsenal, Tottenham, Aston Villa, I think, off the top of my head, as well as this Man City FA Cup semi-final. Craig Dean is basically saying Chelsea are better than Man City. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mate, if I see Pochettino lift a trophy for Chelsea, that'll be the end of me, man. That'll be the end.
Especially this Chelsea. But going back to the point, like, we don't know on Haaland because he's not playing till Thursday in FPL terms, and he's got another massive fixture to play before then. So I've got Haaland in my team. I'm going to keep him in my team. I'm not going to captain him. I'm not, because I've just got to be wary of the fact that he might not play. Just going back to what you're talking about on Liverpool for 1 second, because Gianni was in the chat as well saying that he's going to be bringing Trent into his team. You're going to have Robertson in your team. A lot of people in the chat are looking for different options to consider here and want to at least consider Liverpool options. A couple of stats here to consider for this Fulham v Liverpool fixture on Sunday. So Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League away games against Fulham, right? But Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their last 8 trips to Craven Cottage. And I have to say, I do expect us to score in this fixture. So that is something to bear in mind. If you're thinking of getting a Liverpool defender in here, honestly, I think we'll score.
I think you score too, but I do fancy the Everton fixture. They seem to accumulate a lot of chances, but they can't convert them. So, especially Liverpool, they'll be raging after going out last night. And I do think they'll definitely play a bit better than they have been. So I don't mind maybe Fulham. Yeah, I can definitely see you scoring. But in the Everton game, I think I fancy it.
And on the flip of it, in terms of scoring goals, Liverpool have scored in all of their last 19 away league matches. The only longer run they've had than this was in 1955. Like, that is how strong their away scoring record is at the moment. So, and again, I do expect Liverpool will score in this game. So just a couple of things there to consider. I'm going to go through, Gianni says 3 games in 6 days in the next 3 Premier League games too. William says he's not totally sure that's the real Gianni. Yeah, I have no idea. I assume it is. Give us a code word that would mean that we know. Tell me who the producer is of our show or something. Just write that in the comments so we know that it's you or not. A couple of comments just coming in. FPL Amateur keeps writing, so I'm going to ask you this. Chai, fellow free hitter here, there has to be someone that all of us free hitters are missing. We're picking an 11 from only a pool of about 18 players. It's a fair point. Like, is there anybody that bit off-piece that you would be looking at?
You know what? I have had the same team, I think, for about a week now when I click the free hit button. And that just tells me, like, there's not many other options outside the doublers. The only person I've tried to put some light onto, but I just can't convince myself to do it, is a Rashford or a Bruno. And I know it sounds crazy, or a Dallo, but a lot of us are looking of the likes of Burton Diaz, like Mark says in chat. He's actually in my team. And I do fancy the Burnley home fixture and United away. But with the likes of a Rashford, he gets something a bit different. They've not been great recently, don't get me wrong. But it's coming towards the end of the season. Marcus Rashford's purple patch may be coming in. Sheffield United at home, you don't get a better fixture than that. So, I don't know. I think there is an opportunity to go for it, but it won't be for me, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough. Adam says either going to double Arsenal defence or bring Van Dijk in. What would you do there? What do you think about this double Arsenal defence? I mean, obviously Arsenal's defence has been breached in the last 3 occasions. They're not quite as steady as they were. They're obviously still a very good defence. I've got David Raya still in goal. I've still got an Arsenal centre-back. What do you think on Arsenal, considering the fixtures that they've got?
Yeah, I just think double Arsenal defence is a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit. Yeah.
But I prefer going with double attack, and maybe there's some bias going on here, but I see him conceding in both games. Wolves are a very good attack, in my opinion, and Chelsea can definitely net a goal. So they're by no means easy fixtures for an Arsenal defence. I am going with Raya. But the only reason I'm going with him is because I want to cover my arse, because everyone's going to have like two defenders, and they're going to be over 100% effective ownership, in my opinion. So it's just a bit of cover just in case they do clean in both games somehow, which I don't see happening. And I prefer going with 2 attackers, as we'll see.
Here's my concern on Arsenal. They've got a different type of pressure on them in this title race to what the other 2 have had. And obviously in the last round of games, City went first, done the business. Liverpool then had their wobble. Arsenal knew they had their big opportunity, pushed Liverpool out the title race. They didn't take it. So they were the last team to play. They're now the next team to play. They're going to be playing Saturday night at Molineux, which will be rowdy. Everyone's been on the beers all day around Wolves. They're desperate to cause an upset. 8 o'clock kickoff or something on a Saturday night. 7:30.
Pressure is on. Wang
Go on,
Yichan is
please.
back, so is Kuna too.
Yeah, exactly. And this
Yeah,
is it.
full
Cunha
team.
being back is a big thing.
What do you think of Kuna on the likes of a free hit?
I quite like it. I was looking at a stat earlier on him. I've got it written down here. He's been involved in 9 goals in his last 9 league games. 6 of them goals, 3 of them assists. I think when you look at the fixtures as well, Cunha, I think, is a really good option
Yeah,
on a
it's
free hit.
quality.
I think he's a great option, and I definitely would be considering him for this fixture. As I say, like typically, Arsenal have had a really good defense recently, but that has gone to pot a little bit recently. And while I definitely expect Arsenal to score in this game, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Wolves actually take the lead in this match. And if Wolves do take the lead in this match, honestly, it's going to be an unbelievable match because Arsenal have got to come back in it. They sing about emptying stadiums everywhere they go. If they can do it here, it would be a massive statement.
Yeah, I can see it being a back and forth game, to be honest. And I know we haven't seen that with the likes of Arsenal. They usually control the games very easily, but I don't know. I feel like recently they will feel the pressure for sure. We've seen it last year. But if they can get a result out of this game, I think they will be confident going into the next one against Chelsea.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see if they can get through this first.
Yeah, I think that's right. Emma is asking to see your free hit team. I assume you've sent that in, have you? Because
Yeah,
we do need to see that. So we'll get onto that. Let's do that now, actually, because then we can talk that through properly. And it's obviously the big topic of this weekend. And then once we've seen your free hit team, I think we'll talk captaincy options as well on the back of it. So do you want to just chat us through what you're thinking, Ismo?
Yeah, so like I said with Raya on goal, it's mostly just to cover an Arsenal defender. If I had the balls, I'd go without an Arsenal defender, but I don't think I can quite go there just yet. I've done it all season, taking risks like that, and I just don't think on a free hit it's necessary.
Yeah.
So, like I said about Robertson as well, I do like the attacking threat of Robertson. I feel like when I've watched him, he's got into some good attacking areas, and he's getting back up to full fitness. We've seen Robertson in previous seasons. He is an animal in terms of fitness wise, and his minutes are getting back up since his injury. So I prefer him over at Trent just because Trent is just back, whereas Robertson had a few 90s. So I do like the look of. Daniel Munoz, who I'm actually excited to own. He's not been the best in the last few fixtures, but a home fixture at home to West Ham and then Newcastle. I'm fairly sure it's at home to Newcastle, or am I wrong?
I think it's home too. Yeah, let me just check that while I'm on
but
here.
it's definitely a nice set of fixtures for Palace, and they've been on good form as well. So definitely excited to own him. And then probably someone you're not expecting is James Tarkowski. You can go with a combination of Pickford and Gabriel or Raya and Tarkowski. But Tarkowski either gets a 12-pointer versus Forest and a red card against Liverpool, or he gets a -4 and just concedes in both of them. But I just feel like somewhere ingrained in my mind, maybe he's done it before, but a bullet header is on the way. But not Forest at home, that'll be a dog scrap of a game. And after the 6-0 loss against Chelsea, I can imagine Deutsch tries to fix the back line a small bit. So that's the thought process with Tarkowski.
Yeah, mate, and I think it's a surprise to many. Everton have kept 9 clean sheets this season, which for a team in their position you wouldn't be expecting. I mean, when you consider that the most clean sheets in the league is Arsenal on 14, for Everton to be down in a completely different predicament, only 5 clean sheets less, I think makes him pretty good value. I mean, the problem with Tarkowski is he's picked up a lot of yellows. I think he's heading towards his 10th yellow of the season, so he does often lose a few points for that along the course of the season. But I take your point. It's definitely a different pick, but this is how you've been able to thrive at times, mate. We all know that.
Yeah. The other option is a Mikalenko, like Oishi said in chat. But I don't know. It's all the one for me. He's definitely an option though. Next we have Burton Diaz, who I just feel like on a free hit, he's the type of player that you can go with that regular non-free hitters can't get to really. Like he wouldn't be your first choice if you're making a transfer this week. And 2 great fixtures in my opinion. Since he's come in, he came in January, if that's right, I think. But he's looked amazing since. I remember watching 2 or 3 Sheffield United games. I can't remember who they're playing, but he looked very, very on the ball, to be honest, very sharp. And I think he's playing up front as well. So very excited to own him.
Yeah.
Next, we have Eze, who I think is the only other captaincy shout for me this week.
Do you? Yeah.
It's between him and Salah, to be honest. Again, 2 home fixtures, and he's on penalties, he's on free kicks, and when he's fit, he is really, really good. I love him, and I would love him as Spurs Dean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a few teams obviously wanting Eze. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say in terms of captaincy, because I don't think there are that many picks this week either. I think Salah will be the most popular. I wonder if a lot of people are tempted to go for Saka still. I mean, I don't think he's in great form. I think he's getting shut out a lot. But Wolves and Chelsea, if those results do go Arsenal's way, if they do avoid getting involved in an emotional tussle with themselves and a fight on the pitch with Wolves or Chelsea, if they can just see through their own game plan, and Saka, especially on pens, isn't a bad pick. But I think you're probably right to be considering Eze as Salah's backup here. As we say, like, it's West Ham home, Newcastle home. West Ham just been through a really emotional night themselves and a physical battle. I don't know if you saw the West Ham match against Leverkusen, but the intensity with which they played in that first half was incredible. They gave everything they could to remain in that competition. And there's no way that the outcome of that game doesn't have some impact. Now, West Ham played against Fulham last week, and they were so flat, like on and off the pitch. Like, the stadium was, again, half empty. There was empty seats everywhere at the London Stadium when they played against Fulham. I have no idea why, because I assume a lot of the fans would be season ticket holders anyway, but they just haven't turned up for it. We've turned them over. Then they've gone into that midweek game, tried to produce the performance of the season. 45 minutes looked like they might, and then Leverkusen assert their dominance. So now they've got to bounce back from that. And yeah, Crystal Palace isn't an easy place to do that, because they're looking to build on a big moment themselves. And they've got Eze and Elise in there. Yeah. So, and there haven't been that many occasions throughout this season when regularly those two have been pickable. I see you've got Anderson on the bench. I've actually got Anderson in my team for those 2 fixtures, because I've got some hope that at least one of them ends in a clean sheet.
He's been playing very, very well. He's really good on the ball. And I remember, like, an Eric Dyer long ball. He's actually fairly good at that as well. So he picks up the odd assist. But yeah, the other player I suppose you could talk about Palace is Elise, like you said, or a Mateta. For me, tripling up on a Palace is a bit much, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I love Mateta, and I've had him throughout the season. I was on that train early on. But Hudson-Edouard coming back now, maybe I think we can see a Mateta, because the short turnaround, maybe get 60, 70 minutes in one of the games. And when you compare that up against the Darwin with Fulham away and Everton away, who's going to get maybe 120, I think, anyway. I think I prefer Darwin over Mateta, because he plays for Liverpool. And at the end of the day, Liverpool are going to create chances. I have Saka and Odegaard. I really like Odegaard, and he's my preference over Havertz. The reason is, we've seen Odegaard, when he returns, he's really good for bonus. And with Jesus back now, I think we either see Havertz get benched for a game, or he plays in the 8, which, don't get me wrong, is still a really good option. And he could easily play the both games, but I think Odegaard, you're guaranteed maybe 160, 150 minutes throughout the 2 games. So that's my thoughts on going Odegaard over Kai.
Yeah, no, I take your point. And look, when Arsenal took Odegaard off against Aston Villa, I know he had a knock, but the balance of that team was just gone. And as a result, Arsenal kind of fell apart. They won't do that. They won't risk that again unless they, this is it now for Arsenal. They're out of Europe. These next 2 games are absolutely crucial, and Odegaard is potentially their most important player at the moment in there with Rice, in terms of making sure that the balance of this team remains there. Right, we're going to be getting off 5 minutes early today, guys. Chaya has other business to attend to, so we're going to. He's a busy businessman, you see.
Lewis says, FPL Chai, isn't there more upside in the Henderson plus Gabriel / White than Ray and Munoz? Henderson will make more saves and more attacking threat with Arsenal. So, Lewis, this was my thought process exactly, and I asked myself why I'm doing that. And I don't want to scaremonger people, but with the Gabriel, I know he picked up a knock and wasn't in one of the Arsenal training sessions. And again, with the short turnaround, I would say there's about a 5 to 10% chance he gets benched for one of the games. Now, I don't know what you think about that, Dean. But I think Ray 100% gets both games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. In an ideal world, Gabriel is 100% a better pick than maybe a Munoz or a Tarkovsky. But I don't want to risk any minutes in terms of, because I don't even think they're going to clean, in my opinion. So I just went with Ray just for the security on minutes. But yeah, you're right. If you're willing to go with a Gabriel, absolutely.
Yeah, I can take your point on that. Ray are guaranteed to play both, obviously. Mark asked about what we think with Jota's minutes. I do think that Jota is a good pick. I think Salah and Diaz will be the partnership a lot of people just go to with confidence of them both playing and having potentials to return. Some people are put off of Darwin recently because of his performances, but I think, like you say,
I can't even blame him.
He gets chances, right? And he's played a lot of matches, and that's because Klopp has seen something in him. He likes him, and they're playing Fulham and Everton at the end of the day. Like, I'm a Fulham fan, but I can admit that, like, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be wanting Darwin Núñez to play against us and prey on us, because actually, when I've watched Fulham play against Liverpool before, he causes a bit of havoc, to be honest. We've found it difficult to deal with. Now, Fulham actually do have a decent central defensive partnership at the moment. Tosin and Bassi are actually a really good pair. But Darwin, he's just a nuisance. He really is. And so I can understand why you're picking him. Jota, I do think, though, I pick Jota personally over Diaz. That would be my personal preference. Yeah.
So how, with the game yesterday, what minutes do you see Diaz and Jota getting, though? Because that's mostly the debate in the community that is happening now on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And it's obviously very difficult to tell, because last night Liverpool were obviously in a situation where they were fighting to stay in a competition, and they went with what they would have regarded as their strongest 11 to start. And Diaz plays the majority of the game, gets to 66 minutes, and that's when Jota comes in. I think Jota will start against Fulham.
Yeah, see, I would prefer Jota over Diaz as well. If it was down to, like, they got the same minutes. But I just feel like he's just back from injury. Do they want to risk it so early?
I think they can.
You think so? Yeah.
Can. Yeah, I think they can.
So do you think Núñez gets benched for that then? Like, you know what I mean? Because if Jota starts,
well, Núñez came on for Salah, didn't he? Yeah. So I don't know, because Gakpo started, didn't he, in midweek? I don't know that Gakpo gets another start. I think that would be. I'd say Núñez will go through the middle, Salah one side, Jota the other side. That would probably be what that's just what I would do if I was Jurgen Klopp, and obviously I'm not, so I can't guarantee what he's going to do. But either way, even if Luis Diaz starts that game, Jota's going to play half an hour of this match.
Definitely. And in half an hour, we've seen come off the bench and do well.
That's it. And the reason he's going to be coming on probably is that Liverpool need a goal.
Yeah.
That's the reason you're going to be seeing
because Núñez missed 4 chances.
So either way, I don't think that Jota is a bad pick. Lewis says Jota only played 25 minutes max in any one game in the last 3. Seems a big jump to start him. But when would you expect him to come on? Like, before, like, when people come on 65 minutes, it's not coming on for 25 minutes. It's coming on for half hour or more.
Yeah.
Like, because of added time and the way it works now. So he's managed to get those minutes under his belt. And we've also got to consider that pressure that was on in those games and the type of games that they were, I think after 3 sub appearances, you've got to be considered again for a start. Like, he wouldn't be there if he wasn't capable of playing longer than that. Personal opinion, obviously. Craig, Dean, how many pints are you having at the ground on Sunday? I've got a predicament actually on Sunday. One of my best mates is running the London Marathon.
Okay.
So I won't be joining him, but I will be waving at him from the side, probably with a beer at some stage along the route. But I'll have my wife's coming up, my 2 kids are coming, and then we're going to go and see him afterwards quickly. He starts at 10. He should be finished by 2. If he's not, something's gone wrong. And then my aim is to have a quick beer with him and then get down to Craven Cottage in time for 3:30. So I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much time I'll have actually at the ground for a beer, but I'll make sure I have 1 or 2 en route to Craven Cottage, and probably a sneaky one at half time, like I usually do, while my 6-year-old stands beside me with a packet of crisps and my phone. Armin says, "Greetings from Sydney, Australia." Oh, greetings. We don't have many from Sydney, Australia. Yeah, that's lovely. Want to know how to use my 2 free transfers. Should I prioritise triple ups on Liverpool and Arsenal, or hedge with Eze plus someone else? I've already got Gabriel, Saka, Salah and McAllister. Yeah, it's an interesting question. What would you be prioritising there, mate?
Yeah, I do think Eze is the pick for me this week if I wasn't on free hit anyway. He's the one player I would definitely want to own. I just feel like nailed this week is probably an Eze, a Salah, and a Solanke. Those 3 are, for me, a must.
Yeah. Here's one for Ice G, and it's definitely aimed at you because you're a Spurs fan, and it'll be interesting to test your bias. No. Should I sell Maddison for Elise this double, or hold Maddison?
Well, you see, I don't think Elise starts both games, Dean. What do you think?
No, I think that's a good point. I do think that is worth keeping an eye on, because that's a lot for him.
And I assume you have someone, SG, instead of Maddison to play for a single game week this week, maybe a Foden or someone like that. Look, we play Arsenal next week. Is it next week? In 10 days. We have 2 doubles coming up. So do you want to sell a player that's going to double twice? Don't get me wrong, though. Maddison, I'm not going to say he's been shocking, but definitely disappointed. His minutes are coming back up and he is getting up to speed, but Spurs are not the worst in terms of scoring goals against the bigger teams. So I do think we're still going to score some goals. So I'm personally holding on to Maddison. Again, my situation is a bit different, but bias aside, I think he's a hold.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a fair point. I thought I had a fact on Elise, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, obviously Spurs not playing, and I've got Son at the moment. He's going to be just sitting on my bench for this game week. Craig wants to know how much a pint is in London these days. I mean, at Fulham, I think it's £6.80. A couple of weeks ago in central London, I bought a pint. I bought 2 pints, and it was £17 something for 2 drinks.
That is nuts.
Absurd. I mean, if there's ever a reason to not drink, this is a great reason. This is look after your health, people. Drinking is bad for your health and your bank balance. Gabby Jesus for a punt, not a pint, says repent, master. I don't think I'll be going there. Do you?
I own Jesus. I seem to have owned all these random strikers throughout the season as well. And he's actually someone I considered, but again, he probably gets the start. But when we talk about strikers who don't score goals, we have Darwin Núñez, and then under him, I think we have Jesus as well. On his day, don't get me wrong, he's really good and he creates a lot of chances. I feel like he's a creative striker, maybe good with the ball, holds it up. But in terms of scoring goals, is he the guy you want up top? Not for me, I don't think.
No, we might as well reveal right now that the guy who scores for Arsenal at the weekend is Leandro Trossard, and nobody's going to have him. He's going to come off the bench and score again.
Have a look at your team.
Yeah, let's flip it. Actually, that's a good point. Producer could flip that onto my team. FPL Amateur says FPL pays well if I'm paying that for a pint. I'll be honest, mate. I don't go to the pub that often, and half the time I go to Fulham, I'm not drinking. So, yeah, trust me, this is not a habit that I'm into. Craig says it's £4 a pint of Madry where he lives. Very nice,
So
mate.
good.
That's much better. Michael says £3.50 for a pint on Teesside. London scares him. Yeah, should do. Right, here's my team. I've got Bradley in there, which is not great, but Zabani can come in for him, so it's all good on that sense. I've got Salah captain at the moment. I've set Haaland as the vice. I'll probably just leave that. Salah's going to play, so it doesn't really matter. I brought in Mateta. I did have Muniz there. Obviously Muniz will score against Liverpool this weekend, but I've just got a bit more faith in Mateta doing the business over the course of the games than my beloved Muniz. Ait Nori, what's the late? I haven't actually checked team news on Ait Nori. What is this situation? Do you know?
Yeah, I think he's back. Yeah,
yeah, I thought
he's just not going to be playing on the wing anymore.
Yeah,
with Hwang back. What do you make of the Garnacho controversy?
I think it's a bit dangerous. I mean, from what I understand, when you look at this Man United team, the young players are bouncing off the mood and temperament of some of the more senior players, and I think if others don't show respect or understanding to what Ten Hag's doing, then some of the younger players might follow suit. The only thing with Ten Hag is actually from what I understand, like from Ineos perspective, there's not a lot. If you were coming into this blind, right, and you were like, right, what's Ten Hag good at? There wouldn't be much you would be coming out from this season with, but you'd be like, well, he has done quite well with the young players and giving players a chance. And Kobe Mainu, obviously the standout name from that centre back as well, obviously that's broken out recently, and Rasmus Højlund. But yeah, Garnacho apologised. The only difference between really what's happened here and what happened with Sancho, imagine Garnacho hadn't said sorry. Would he now be heading out on loan next season? Like this is the thing with Ten Hag. He doesn't like it, does he? He doesn't like it.
He puts his foot down as well.
Yeah, and Sancho's about to go on and win the Champions League, so he might have the last laugh.
Dean, you could put your money on it right now. Who do you think is going to finish higher, Chelsea or United?
Oh, it's a tough call. What's the gap difference? Is it 4 points? I'm trying to think.
Let me have a look. Yeah, I don't want to make.
Yeah, I think it's because let me see. Man United are on 50. Oh, Chelsea are on 47 with one game in hand. Okay, so it would be even if they win their game in hand. I would still give Man United the benefit of the doubt.
They have the better fixtures too.
They've got the better fixtures.
You have the cup as well, so
they've got the better fixtures. I mean, Man United do have the cup, but they're playing Coventry. But Man United's fixtures, like especially the next few: Sheffield United, Burnley, Crystal Palace.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like during this time of the season, United seem to up a gear because they're usually fairly bad in Europe, and then it comes to this part and then they start showing up a bit. Or am I wrong saying that?
Yeah, maybe. They do typically like to have a decent end to the season. I'm just trying to make sure what they did, how they finished strong. Obviously under Ten Hag last season. I can't get this to load properly.
Also, is it true that if they finish 8th, that will be their worst finish in Premier League history? Is that true?
Yeah. A friend of mine asked that question actually when Ten Hag walked out at the press conference the other day.
Oh, that's where I saw that.
Yeah. Ten Hag walked out, and I know the guy that asked him that question. It's funny that the journalist actually he was a Man United fan, and he switched. He started supporting Arsenal early 2000s. Yeah. He was a Man United fan all through growing up. Like I think until he was like 30 or something, he was a Man United fan, and he changed. And he was going to write a book about it actually. And I assume he hasn't got round to it. It was called something like tangled up in red and white, and it was like,
That's brilliant.
yeah, and it was. I was like, I used to chat to me about it, and I used to see him a lot when I was like out on the beat as a journalist. I should check in with him again to see how that book's going, because I was all excited. It's like, how did this happen? You were there when United won the treble, and
That is
then
nuts, man.
support Arsenal. But yeah, I think he's got a very.
And also, did you see Poch storming out of the press conference room? Do you know the journalist and what happened there?
I don't know the journalist, but I heard the journalist shout. I couldn't tell whose voice it was. Wasn't one I recognised, but obviously shouting what a shambles the presser was. I mean, the problem Poch has got in that situation, I felt sorry for a bit, because finally Chelsea had a clear, easy, good win.
Yeah.
And all anyone wants to talk about
is a penalty.
Is Nico Jackson throwing a tantrum. The problem is that's the story of the night, isn't it? Because it's been such a walkover. Yes, Cole Palmer is the actual story of the night, but I watched the game, and all I could think about afterwards was like,
I can't believe that.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Craig says, Dean, last question from me before I go. I'll see ya. I'm joining a last man standing game this week, and have picked Villa and Palace as my picks. Thoughts? Okay, so he's back in Villa and Palace this weekend.
Villa versus Bournemouth, isn't it?
Sorry?
Villa versus Bournemouth, and Palace versus who is it? West Ham?
West Ham, yeah. So let me just
they're two tough fixtures to be relying on, in my opinion.
This is going to be a stressful afternoon. But they're over 2 days as well, aren't they? Is it? When do West? Oh no, they're on the same day. Same time, actually, both 3 o'clock on Sunday. Villa home to Bournemouth, fine. Not sure about the other one.
Yeah.
The other one I'm scared for you.
I won't be banking on it personally.
I mean, yeah, I don't think I'd trust David Moyes with £1 of my money, let alone like a bet like that. Like, this team is just flaky as you like. I can't see it. I don't know. You just don't know with West Ham which version turns up. What do you think, mate? Palace West Ham. Is it
Palace West Ham? I give him a draw.
A draw. Oh dear, not going to help him. Good luck with your bet anyway. Georgie says Palmer isn't as good as everyone thinks he is, and soon people will realise. What are you talking about?
George, I'd have to disagree with you, man. Look, don't get me wrong. Chelsea have had a lot of penalties, but outside of that, man, in open play, the guy is skipping past fellas. He's not megging people. He's playing with confidence, and he links play so well. And I think for a player at his age, doing it in a very, very poor Chelsea team made of individuals, he's really the glue for Chelsea. So I think
that's
it's very wrong
isn't
to
it?
say that. Yeah, he's only going to get better too.
Yeah, I mean, in this season, you consider like other Player of the Year candidates, Declan Rice, Phil Foden, Rodri, Odegaard, whoever. Like, they're all surrounded by really good players, right? And Cole Palmer's not. He should be, because they are actually good players. But in terms of what we see on a week in, week out basis, the only one who's actually helped him out is really Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
So he's had it tough. Palmer is the best young English player since Saka. Well, that's not that long, but yeah, that's like, Saka's, yeah, like Saka and Foden like broke through like 2 years ago, and now we've got. Yeah, I mean Palmer obviously is good, but I don't even know if he's definitely the breakout of the season. Cobby mining. He's younger. He's 18.
Yeah, he's only 18, to be fair.
I think he's 19 today, actually. I think it's Mainu's birthday today, I saw earlier.
It's Van de Ven's birthday today, too.
It's what?
Van de Ven's birthday.
Oh, look at that. Who knew? Who knew the two lads had so much
breakout player
in common? Louisa says, would you start Maguire over Zabani? I have Neto to cover. Not many people picking Harry Maguire right now.
You know what? I see Maguire have a shot every single game from his slab head. Every time I watch United play, he gets a header when he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
So maybe this is your
runs
week
as well. He goes a little run.
Yeah, he does. Do you ever see those compilations of him? And he's just doing this thing. Look, I think he always has got more hate than he deserves. It's just the price tag that kind of put him down. And I hope he turns it around, to be honest. I know he's old now, but with the injuries United have,
31. I think I still think there's a possibility to be sold actually in the summer. I think that we'll be looking at overhaul of that United back line. We'll see. -8 to get Leno out. You winding me up?
They know what they're doing.
You can't use a -8 to get Leno out of your team. One of the best goalkeepers in this game. No, I'm not having that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Guys, is it possible to finish in top 200k? I'm 150 points short with triple captain, free hit, and the wild card to be played.
150 points. I would say, all right, so you need to make up 30 points on your triple captain. So that's 120. Let's say you gain 30 points on your free hit. So then you're down to 90. And then with your wild card, you're going to gain maybe 40 points over. Nah, I don't think it's possible. It's very unlikely.
I don't think it's possible.
Very unlikely.
It's a lot. I love the ambition of it. I think it's great to have that aim.
Yeah.
But 200k might be a bit out of reach, mate. But let us know how you get on. Daddy Chill said get Havertz or Virgil in. Out of that, I was going to say I would go Havertz, but actually I'm not sure. I don't know. Actually, no, I'd probably go Virgil.
You know what? Virgil has been very, very good in double game weeks. He always seems to pop up with a goal. I don't know if I'm going to have him instead of Robertson. I really don't know. It'll come down to the wire.
Yeah. This is an interesting question from Vladimir. Is it worth a -8 to get 12 double game week players and then bench boost? You'll probably have some experience of whether that's worthwhile or not.
Is it worth -8 to get 12 double game week players and bench boost? I assume you mean this week. And again, it depends who the single game week players are. If the single game week players are the likes of Maguire versus Sheffield, maybe a Haaland versus Brighton, then yeah, I'm all for it. Otherwise, I think I'd save it so you have more time to build towards your bench boost 37. I don't know if you have your wildcard 35, but I think regardless, you're able to build a better bench without hits. But yeah, it really depends who those single game week players are, I suppose.
Yeah, Big Tips says Anthony Gordon is one of the breakout players of this season. He's not a breakout player. He's signed from Everton for like £50 million.
Almost from Tottenham too. So
yeah, like this isn't his breakout season. His breakout season was at Everton. Sorry. Dean, is there anything in those Man United? I'll get to that one in a minute, Kettle. Do you think there's anything in the Man United Frimpong links? I think they like him. I do not believe they are going to sign him.
Surely no chance, Dean.
I don't think that will happen for various reasons. The top reason at the moment being that Man United have other priorities and will probably end up sticking with Dalot and Wan-Bissaka.
Surely City are all over that with Walker getting old now, picking up injuries.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Frimpong, I do want to see him in the Prem. I like Frimpong. He's got a lot of personality on and off the pitch. So I do want to see that. Craig's shouting at me in capital letters, do you think your team, Fulham, regret getting Brozier on loan? No, I don't. No, because he's ignited Rodrigo Muniz and turned him into a £50 million striker. So we've turned Chelsea's £50 million striker into a £15 million striker. We've turned our £15 million striker into a 50. It was worth the £4 million loan deal. It was absolute genius from Fulham.
Kittle -4.
Yeah,
to Picker/Raya. Kittle, I don't think that's worth it, to be honest. Like, realistically, Bournemouth don't have the best fixture run in terms of keeping clean sheets. But neither does Pickford and neither does Raya. So I think I'd just hold on to Neto and just hope you can get something out of one of the two games. You'd be doing the same with Pickford or Raya. So I would say I prefer -4 elsewhere if you can do.
Yeah, who do you think is the best goalkeeper option for this double, mate? Colin asked that, and I guess it's not something that most people put that much consideration into. They just kind of take what where they were at. Who would you pick if you had like a free slate right now?
Well, the thing is, I do, and I'm really unsure.
Yeah, true.
I'm on it myself, and I've tinkered with it. And for me, I'm just going with Raya to cover, like I said. But if I had to choose someone else, I think it would be Pickford. Just purely for save points.
Yeah.
And the off chance that if Everton do keep a clean sheet against the likes of Liverpool, they're likely to have conceded 30 shots and a clean sheet. So he'd be on for a 50-pointer then.
That is true. No, that's a good point. Ricky, -4 to bench Haaland and buy Brereton Diaz. Who ever thought we would be having a discussion like this?
I love it, man. I love it. I'm not going to tell you to do it.
No,
But I do
I
like it.
mean, we cannot. We'll get banned from YouTube if we provide such a move. But on your back be it, Ricky. Big Tips is having a right go at me today. No, a breakout star is when you establish yourself. He was at Everton. He was 50 million, but he was nowhere near this level. This is his breakout season. Do you consider this to be Anthony Gordon's breakout season, or do you think you've seen his breakout season before?
I don't know. I feel like I've seen it before when Tottenham went to go sign him, to be honest. Now, to be fair, what I say is before this season of Anthony Gordon, I was very skeptical as a Spurs fan for a 50 million signing an Everton player like the likes of Richarlison. But it was Gordon in this instance. And now I'm almost disappointed that we didn't get him. So I can see what you're saying. But for Everton, I do think that was his breakout season, if you put it that way.
Yeah. I think with Anthony Gordon, actually, to give him credit, I doubt him every single time I'm about to watch him.
Me too.
And then he does things I forget. Or
I don't know if it's the way he looks or his personality, but
yeah, there's
I know what you're
something
saying.
about It's like when you're play school football and there's somebody that surprises you every time you play. You think it's almost like they don't play football in the playground, but then they somehow get into the school team and they do really well. Like that's Anthony Gordon. He's surprise package, I say, of the Premier League season. I'll give him that one. British says, do I bench Isak or Palmer? Headache. I mean, Crystal Palace, Isak goes to. I would bench Palmer.
I would bench Palmer too.
I would bench Palmer. Yeah, it just feels so weird to say. And I have benched Palmer.
Yeah.
I haven't got this exact dilemma, but I would bench Palmer this week. And I think you're safe to do that because I think a lot of people will be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I've benched Palmer 4 times this season, and he's returned 4 times off my bench, and I haven't gotten subbed on. So I would bench Palmer.
Oh dear! Right, Chai does have to go, so we're going to answer one more question. Lewis, is it worth taking Foden out with a -4 for an Arsenal? And who thanks watching from USA? What? Thanks for watching from the USA at 4:53 a.m. I'm glad we finished the show on this one. Like, you absolute legend. I forgot. What was the question? I forgot what the actual question was now. Is it worth taking Foden out with a -4 for an Arsenal player? I'll let you finish on that, Chai.
I don't think so. Let's just say Foden gets 80 minutes, for example, best case scenario. And the Arsenal boys are probably going to get 140. It's not a big difference for a -4. And Foden versus Brighton is not the worst fixture in the world either. So I personally would hold on to him because you're going to want him for game week 37 with the double they have. It really depends if you're free hitting or not free hitting, if you're wildcarding 35. If you're wildcarding, I would say do it. But otherwise, I'd hold on to him.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time today, Chai. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Please make sure you give us a like or subscribe before you leave today. It really helps us grow. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll be back on Monday. You guys go and chase those green arrows, and we'll catch you all soon. Cheers.
See you later.